It's called Bonnie and Law. Yeah, start. It's good. That's good. Yeah.
Alright. Everyone ready? Alright, now, guys, now we're recording.
We're ready.
Best behavior. Stop.
The recording started. Recording is on.
Wait, let me clear my throat.
Drink some arak first.
Episode 4, commence. Okay. It's good to see that a little snow won't stop us from getting what we need.
No,
Danny.
Music is it, my friends.
that's it.
So, sorry for the delay for the extra week. My apologies. And I'm super excited to be here because I got what a lineup we have for you today. If you think last week was good, you should see what we have in store for you this week. You guys are going to be invigorated, you're going to be lit up, and you're going to walk out of here 10 times richer than you walked in.
Wow.
And here's why. We got some real surprises for you tonight. First of all, we have a guest, a world-class musician at Hazan, who has honored us with his presence tonight just for, he's not taking money for it, he's just doing it because of his love for the music and his love to teach people. And he heard about this class and all the wonderful people that are in it, and he wanted to contribute. I'll introduce him in a minute. We have a new Pizmon that you've all heard before, but never in this context. We're going to take it, we're going to do surgery on it, and we're going to take it apart. I'm going to show you exactly what happens in the Pizmon, what to look out for, where the changes happen from Bayat to other Makamat. We have an Arabic classic, and this is good for us to start learning. I'm not an expert in Arabic music, but I'm starting with you guys to take on one song a week and just listen to it. I must have listened to this song 100 times throughout the week. It moved me to tears. I am just, and then when I heard the words, I cried even harder when I understood what it meant.
Wow.
I got a musical recording that I got my hands on that I promise you you've never heard before because it's not supposed to exist. and you're never going to hear it again unless you go on the blog. I got a visual explanation. I actually put this together myself the other night, showing this way we don't have to scribble, we can just point and you'll see exactly what we're doing. And we have a couple of our prized students are going to be performing solos tonight. And we're going to do all this in an hour and 15 minutes, so hold on to your chairs. It's going to be a wild ride. And I want to remind you guys, we're not Americans in this class. We're Sephardic Jews from Arabic descent, and that means that we yell. That means that we say ooh, we say ah, we clap. Say something. If you want to yell out your favorite Syrian food, just say something. We want reaction.
Okay, yalla.
Yalla.
You know, there's a secret behind what he's saying. It's not just I'm talking. There is a relationship between the crowd and the Hazan and the performer. There's a relationship. You can't perform when the crowd is silent and there's no reaction. It's 100% true.
Yes, sir.
No, so what you said is amazing because after Michael turned me on to this bizarre world of music, I watched these videos, and at the end, the singers, they look to the audience to like get psyched. In other words, that get involved.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole thing of
We want you
connection.
to feel what we feel.
I'll tell you,
That's the
I'll tell you a
connection.
quick story.
Yeah,
I had a performance last week for Hanukkah in the Spanish-Portuguese synagogue.
Wow.
And they were staring at me like, I'm performing songs where they should be clapping, and they're staring at me. And when there's no relationship, I want to get off the stage. I was doing songs specifically for them because I know that it's not a crowd that they want heavy music. I'm doing songs that you can't clap to, and they're staring at me and like this when I'm
Wow.
done. There's no relationship with it,
Right.
There's no give and take. There's no question answer. So
Right, what are you doing?
our music relies on that.
Okay.
All right, so everybody's going to get
Who
pumped.
wants to sing?
Anyone.
Okay, we're going to start with singing because guys coming after 3 weeks, you're about to explode. You just want to sing. Everyone wants to sing. So let's get a D. D is the bayat. Now, can we hit the lights a little bit so that we can sing this a little better?
Are you doing it?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Can we
Lights for us?
in the back?
Sam, you know lights?
There is.
Is there a dimmer?
The right one.
ones in the front if you can.
This one.
Am I blocking the thing?
That's good enough, that's good enough. Now, we do this for two reasons. One is so you can see the board, and the second is so you can feel the mood, my friends. Now, what we're gonna do is this, we're gonna do a little differently this time. We're going to sing notes 1 through 5 of Bayat, right? Lower gens plus the A. And I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna draw a line from the camera, so you'll be on this side. Right down here is gonna be the right side, my right, and then this side of the room. I'm gonna have this side of the room sing notes 1 through 5. 1 through 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to 1, right? When you hit 5, I want you to pause, and I want everyone else in the room to say, ah. And when he gets back to 1, I want everyone to say, ah, on 1. And then I'm going to reverse it, and I'm going to have this side of the room do it, and then we're going to do it all together. Okay? So follow me here.
Fly with a five.
Hold on, this side from here. Now this side.
Let's work on that.
Take that,
Let's
we got
work
it?
on that.
Okay. Give me those 1 through 5. Alright, so we're gonna do it again. I'm gonna sing it first, and then we're gonna do the same exact thing again. Alright, again, this side of the room. Now this side. Alright.
Got it, no?
That's it. Yeah. I want the whole class together now. 1 through 5. Back to 1. Ready? Beautiful. Now I want. Yeah.
Quick question, when our quarter tone is Yanni, is it Yanni flatter or Yanni sharper than it should
It
be?
depends who's singing it.
It's both, Yanni, all over the place?
It's a work in progress.
It's okay.
No, I just wanna know which way to
Now,
push it.
On the overall side, what does it sound? Short or sharp?
When people sing individually, I'll tell you.
okay.
Okay, so that's what
I
you
need,
gotta
I need 3 volunteers. We're gonna sing it solo, and then I want 2
Michael.
critiques for each solo. And we're gonna do it without accompaniment. We're just gonna do the bass D. Who didn't sing yet? Who didn't sing last week? Wanna give it a shot? Keep
Yeah,
going.
let's go.
Comments? Raise your hand.
Better
Take
than
the video then.
Going
Put it right on
His
YouTube.
half flat was
was off. It was going
Might be illegal.
better.
Okay, one more comment?
Jennifer Groove. Jennifer Groove, oh my
Comment?
God. 20 million hits and Bonnie.
Okay.
We wanna make it one.
So he asked me if it was sharp or flat. It was sharp, so if you're gonna sharpen that note, it's gonna be very close to
When
now.
he says sharp, he means it's going
Meaning
up.
it would be
Right.
D, E natural.
Right.
Da 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 da. If you would flatten it, it would be chord.
Right, So what he means is we're saying, and you did a beautiful job, Elliot. We're saying,
All gonna be
that would be that one. Bayat has to be a little flatter, so it means
always gonna
one more.
I'll check.
Thank you, it was beautiful. Go ahead.
You were sharper on the way up
Yeah.
than on the way down.
All right, Dan, let's.
Nice job, Dave.
Comments. Raise your hand. Ali, what'd you hear?
on your mind?
Oh no, I want to say.
Oh, you wanted to say? I need a comment.
Oh, okay. He was
Critique.
good. My comment is he was good.
We got someone critique? I'll tell you what I heard. I heard Bayat on the way up and I heard Nahwand on the way down. I heard there was this E half flat was more like an E flat, which in our
Yeah,
terms
yeah.
means more of a Nahwand. Now, is that terrible? No. We're all, learning how to do this. It took me years and hopefully it won't take you as long. I'm a slow learner.
It was simply too much of the way down because of the flat and sharp thing, so you got gassed, I think.
Okay.
Just because that's how music works, right? It's,
Right.
He was waiting for sharp or flat, right? And
So-
you just went down and you
Okay,
just
so
concentrated.
Abe has, for the record, said he got gassed. Okay, Ali, why don't you hit it? We'll give you a D.
Can I
Yes.
offer just a small piece of advice if you want? The second note is a quarter tone. That's the note that you guys are having trouble with. If you round it a little bit, instead of singing it da 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 da, if you go da da da, you have more of a chance of hitting it somewhere in there. Until you get it exactly. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being
Right.
facetious. That's the way
So
you're gonna
hold
get
it.
to
All right,
it.
so we've been singing it flat. We've been singing it So he's saying maybe we could just
Just
give it
for
a
that
little
note.
more of a
Or even just for the quarter tone. Meaning you can
Right.
sing them.
not
So you really hear
so
the
let's
quarter
try
tone?
that. Okay, Avi, let's hit a D. Avi, go ahead. Comment? One comment from someone who does not.
On the way up, he was good. On the way down, he was also
Way up there.
E natural on the way down?
So
He was
I thought you were great,
not as many.
and we got to work our way down. I don't know why. For me, way down is easier than way up. I'm used to going.
When you sing
From
it,
top down.
it's hard to put your hands on the way down.
It is a little trickier. See, that's why I introduced first Lozins 1 through 4, and then I introduced 5, and I'm not yet going to the rest because when you sing the first 4, you're not going so far out where it's hard to come back. So when we're doing that's easier than okay. Now I want you to start listening for bayat in other applications throughout the prayer and the holidays. So, who can tell me something that we sing? We've spoken about it in earlier class. We sing it weekly, and it's in bayat. Who can tell me? Not a tefillah. Shira Shirim.
You ever,
Bayat.
you ever heard what the Egyptians do?
Another application, Megillat Esther. طيبي أحشفروش دي مو أحشفروش همولك מאוד بعد كل שבע ועשרים ומאה מדינה. Right, but it's a bayat with a little end of it.
Michael, you know the better.
Ends on the ras, ends on the sea.
סוף פסוק אין תמציא.
Why don't we do Megillat Esther in Ajam or something? Because isn't it more like festive?
Megillat Esther, Megillat Esther is an
It's interesting. We actually take makamat. We spoke about this, that some other cultures use as mourning. Like the Arabs can use sabah for mourning. We use it for brit milah, we're clapping and right. And the Arabs are thinking, what are they so happy about? And it's actually interesting. You can take there's ajam piyutim in the Tisha B'Av that if you sing it and you drag certain notes, you will actually end up with a sad tune in the context of the holiday. We don't want to get off into a tangent, but Morris, you have a question?
Not a question, a comment. If you've ever listened to the Egyptians do Shir HaShirim, obviously you've been there. They don't do the Shir HaShirim the way the Halabiya do it. They do a usual solo for each azan or each singer in bayat, pure bayat.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point, and that's
But
why
bayat,
that's
the
why the
basis is
Egyptians
bayat,
are superior.
Let's get that on the camera.
Objectively.
Blocking them.
Yeah, but it's wrong to think that you should categorize makamat by sad and happy. You have songs that are in Hajaz that are happy. Samah Nafshi is not a sad song. You know, you're sitting there dancing. I wouldn't categorize
Words
it.
are so.
Yeah, Samah Nafshi.
Okay. So, what I love about this class is that I think I know something, and then someone comes along and completely contradicts me, and they're right, right? And that's why we like interaction, because, right, everyone has a different perspective, and some people have information that I don't know about. So I made a statement that Western instruments, namely the guitar and the piano, just don't have quarter notes in them, right? We only play from C to C sharp to D, D sharp, E, F. We don't have an E half flat, which is that second note of bayat that we're all struggling with, right? On the way down. And so I said, blanket statement, Western instruments, pianos, no quarter tones. It's tuned the way it's tuned, that's it. Now, I told you from also from day one, Arabs don't like rules. So when you tell an Arab guy that piano is only for half tones, he says, watch me. So here's a guy that opened the piano, pulled it apart, pulled the strings out, twisted, tuned, adjusted, until he actually tuned the piano to not only a bayat, but a bayat shuri, which is the bayat with hajaz on top. Now I said, when my friend Leon Sakal told me, I said, what do you mean? He said, just listen to it. I said, I have to let you guys hear this because this is something, I told you this was unprecedented, so listen.
That's by that.
I'm missing it. Could you focus me on where the bayat is?
Come on, Barney and all.
You mean where the quarter tone
That's bayat.
Right.
That second note, which is also the Siga scale, that's the first note of the Siga scale, that you can't play on a conventional piano. You look at a million pianos across the world, you won't be able to play that. Na, 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 na. So that's bayat on the piano, and in the middle you heard a little bit of shuri. Okay.
I thought I heard Adrian in the
Well, what you probably heard was, let me go back to,
the beginning.
now what you probably heard was, like we said, the F, which is the third note of the Lorigins Bayat, is also the first note of an Ajam. La 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 la. Okay?
But if
Um,
you tuned it to Bayat Shruti, then it should have been A flat, right? So you didn't have done it here.
No, you didn't only stay in Bayat.
Anyway, that's a side point. So, a couple of housekeeping items, the boring part, but we'll run through it quickly. I just keep repeating it because some people are new. And we have two goals in this class, right? The goals are to be able to identify a makam when you hear it and say, that's bayat, that's ajam, that's kud, that's trust, and so on. The second is to be able to sing it. So if you are alone and you want to sing a bayat, you're able to sing it and not sing a nahwan. If you're called up to do musaf, you can sing a hajaz. Right? So it's to listen, identify, and to be able to sing. That means that you don't need to understand why this works the way it works. You don't need to necessarily know that G is a starting point for the nahwan in the bayat, and that this is a 3/4. That is great, and if it helps you, that's wonderful. But if it's confusing, or you feel like it's over your head, or you're just not interested, let it go. Right? It's not a reason to be discouraged. And I like to say that music lives in the heart, not in the head. So we can understand it all we want, but until we experience it by singing it and listening to it, it doesn't really matter, at least to me.
Are we doing a higher bayat this week, by the way?
No, we're doing the same bayat. It's just that that was a little lower, and we're listening to things that are a little bit out of the normal D bayat, so that's why it might sound different. I was reading an interesting quote. Billy Joel said, he said, "I think music in itself is healing. It's an explosive expression of humanity. It's something we are all touched by. No matter what culture we're from, everyone loves music." So I thought that was very apropos for the class and what we're trying to achieve. Now, any newcomers to the class? Anyone hasn't been here before? Okay, great. That's it? 2? Great. So why don't we pass around, put your name, email, address, clearly as possible.
Put your name right there.
Okay. Anyone here not registered yet for the blog? Okay. Other than, okay. Can I get a commitment for everyone who hasn't registered, including those who haven't been here, to register?
Michael
And for
Franco.
those who registered,
Even I registered next week. Come on.
and
Yeah, Michael.
I want everyone to, well, let me ask by show of hands,
Same.
and be honest, it's okay, so there's nothing mandatory in this class, but who has reviewed the material? Raise your hand. Okay. I encourage everyone, you don't have to watch the whole class if you were here, but just at least the media files, the technical part, listen to them, practice them, especially the lower part of Bayat.
The mawals you put are great.
Thank you.
You know,
Can you download to your iPhone? That's the question for Tech.
Yeah, you can.
There's a way. Okay. See Sam after the class. And he'll
I
explain
think
to
if you
you.
right click it, you can
Yeah, it should work.
Okay. Now, this class is bi-weekly. That means every other Saturday night is for an hour and 15 minutes. So if you took this class for an hour and 15 minutes every other week for 35 years, you probably wouldn't be able to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve in this class. Why? Because the growth happens on your own and with practice, right? Victor can probably tell you, I don't have to ask him, I know he spent probably 20,000 hours practicing the oud, singing, practicing singing, listening, practicing, right? Now, you may not want to or be able to get to Victor's level, but you may want to really be able to call out bayat. You maybe really want to nail that second note, not just on the way up, but on the way down as well. You want to be able to hazam once in a while, to understand a little more. That's only going to come from the growth that happens in between the class, and that happens by clicking on the media, listening, asking questions, practicing. You know, I think the shower is great. I take 20-minute showers. I just sing and sing and sing. I don't care about the neighbors. I care about my own growth.
20 minutes.
If you want to participate in the class and you want to solo and you want to be involved and you think you're ready to
Michael Franco.
put yourself out there, email me, right? I'm not that much of an intimidating guy. Just email me, say I want to get involved, and I'll find you a place to be in the class. Are you guys feeling a little more at home with Bayat? This is class number 4, so we've spent 2 months on this. Is this becoming like less foreign? Is it more home?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
When you're hearing it in shul, is it more like, this is this is what we listened to and learned about for the last month or 2? Is it more familiar? Yeah? Sure. Good. Okay. Let me introduce you, Victor. Aside from being a friend of mine, Victor is an oud player. He's a violin player. He studied music theory, and he studied with a world-renowned musician and professor named Simon Shaheen. Or is it Shaheen?
Shaheen.
Simon Shaheen. S-I-M-O-N, like Simon. Shaheen, S-H-A-H-E-E-N. Google him, YouTube him. He is one of the greatest musicians that I've ever seen. What he can do with his fingers in the oud. And my teacher, who I'm learning the nai with, the Arabic flute, is a guy named Bassam Sabah, who also played with Simon Shaheen. So all roads seem to go back to him. So Victor is one of his prize students. Victor also studied voice development and Western music theory and notation at the New School and Brooklyn College. He also studied voice and makamat under the famous Hazan of ours, Hacham el-Nadav, for 3 years. And
Did we research, huh?
yes, from the internet. I didn't even have to ask him. I knew he wouldn't tell me, so I spied on him. Victor has taught various workshops on Arabic music theory, including a 3-year continual training program at SEC. He's currently head Hazan at Sephardic Synagogue. We can go hear him. And he also gives makamat classes. So, Kol Israel does not have a monopoly on Hazanut and Makam classes. We tried to file a patent. They said it was taken already by Victor. So you can go to his class as well. It's all a collaborative effort. Our goal here, I think I can speak for Victor and everyone else who teaches this stuff, is not, there's no one way, there's no only one road, right? It's just a matter, we just want to bring everyone into the fold and have you learn and enjoy it. And it's amazing people like Victor who keep our traditions alive. So, give a round of applause for Victor. Remember, who's eyes clapping, just give him show him how much you enjoy it, because I know you are going to enjoy it. And I want to start with a taksim, which we keep referring to as a taksim is what? Instrumental improvisation. Mawal would be a vocal improvisation. So I want Victor to give us a 2-minute bayat warm-up, an appetizer, just to whet the palate, to help us get into the mood. Close your eyes, enjoy it. And then after that, I want Victor, with his permission, to give you an overview about the oud. I want you to understand what the oud is, so that you know what you're listening to, It's a different instrument. Many of you are not used to seeing it. So let's hear. Keep you hungry. So, Victor, tell us about the oud. How many strings? How much it costs? What the wood's made out of? Give us a little.
Okay, so the oud has 11 strings. 10 strings are tuned in pairs. So we have 5 pairs which equal 10 strings, and then 1 bass string that we use as a drone. The front is usually made out of spruce or cedar wood, and the back could be made out of any number of woods. This is walnut, different kinds of walnut, but I've heard many different kinds of woods used. You see right away it's different from a guitar. There are no frets here. Once there are no frets, that allows for the quarter tones. On a guitar you can't play quarter tones because of the frets are exactly where the quarter tones need to be. Cost, you can buy in a shuk for $200, and an instrument like this could go for over $2,000. I have an instrument at home that's it was made in the 1940s. It can easily go for $5,000–6,000. So the cost is anywhere.
What's the white thing in the middle?
This?
Yeah.
It's called the rosette. It's the sound hole, basically. Sometimes you'll see one big one and a small one on either side. It allows for the sound to come out.
How many ouds do you own?
I used to have many more. My wife made me sell them all. Right now I have 3 in my house.
How old are they? When were they developed?
This oud?
No, in general. In 100, 200, how old?
They have one story that I read says it goes back to the time of Lemech. Lemech played on an oud. Really, it says that the type of instrument that he played on, if you read they said it goes back, it dates back then. Certainly, the guitar comes from the lute. The lute comes from this. A lot of instruments come from, this is the basis of those instruments.
Okay.
So Good enough.
We gotta get on to class. If Victor's around after class, he's not in a rush. He might be, but if he isn't, then you can ask him, because I want to cover a bunch of other things. I want to do our traditional pop quiz, because you guys like to be challenged. And Victor's going to play 3 makamat,
Right.
and he's going to give like 20–30 seconds to each one. Close your eyes, listen, and you're going to signal if you want. Yeah. And at the end, we're going to try and identify. One of them is bayat. It's not a trick question. And we're going to try and discuss what the other ones are. So, number 1. Two. Three. Yes. He did it a little fancier and trickier, so.
Did I tried not to.
Okay, by show of hands, who heard Bayat on what? Hold up a number, 1, 2, or 3. I told him this smart.
Good.
Right?
What was number 3?
Oh, hold on, first one is Hajaz.
Very good.
Hold on here. First one is Hajaz. Did everyone agree? Hajaz?
Hajaz, yeah.
Like no problem. You guys
did the jump.
Hajaz. Okay.
They played with it a lot.
And the third one.
Ajam. Second one though sounded more Kurd than Bayat.
Well, it's either
Nice
his
mouth.
oud or your ear.
I would have to go with my oud on this one.
Okay.
Good
So,
comment, man.
now, one of the ones I picked was Hajaz. Why? Because for some reason, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute, Hajaz is one of those makamat that you hear it and you know it right away. Am I wrong? Hajaz? Play Hajaz.
There are no quarter tones in Hijaz. There's only
Forget the quarter tones.
It's easy to puzzle, but it's easy to spot.
Is it easy to identify?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Very Arabic.
Hold that thought, I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. And you guys are amazing. You're hearing it, you're listening, you're identifying. And don't be embarrassed if you're struggling to identify. You can email each other, you can post, you can ask me, well, why is that Ajam? I thought it was Ras. You know, what's the difference? We can talk about it. That's the kind of thing I want you to post. Okay. I want to throw in a little something into the mix. It'll take literally 45 seconds. I want you to know just a tidbit of history. Nobody wants a long history lesson, but who could tell me where the word Bayat comes from, the name?
It's a city somewhere.
The city in somewhere.
Iran. Persia.
Very good. Most of the makamat originated in Persia, right? There are three geographical locations of makamat that are predominant today. There's Iran, Persia, then there's Turkish, and Middle East, right? So I read online that I looked up how many cities are named Bayat in Iran, and I came up with 5. So there's 5 different cities called Bayat in Iran. So it's probably not far off to say that Bayat was called after the city or the cities in Iran and Persia. Boyati is in the Bangla language, Bangla from Bangladesh, which means a group of musical people. And Hosseini, which is offshoot of the family Bayat, is from Hossein, which in Arabic means beauty. And that might be why we sing it for baby girls, right? Beauty. And I've heard it say, some people, I mentioned this in the first class, I think bayat is known as a more of a softer, feminine makam. Some people might hear it, and it's a subjective thing. Some people might hear it and say that sounds like someone going to war, you know. And so, but I actually identify with that. I see it as a softer. It lands kind of soft. The style of singing it is more of a softer, whereas Hijaz might be a little more harsh. Let's go into our Pizmon. Open your Pizmonim books to page 266. Now, this is El Meod Na'ala. Now, this is a Pizmon that we've heard 6,000 times. If you don't know it, I'm going to ask you to leave. And it's just it's such a basic song, but it's not, because it actually touches on a bunch of different key points in Bayat that I want to go over. And you're usually anxious to chomp at the bit and you're ready to sing. So let's sing the first stanza until the Mishkenotav, and then I want you to take a break and we're going to analyze what we saw. We're going to tell you the key parts, the notes that are being hit, and then we're going to continue and sing the last two stanzas, okay? So, give a little, give a little guess. For eight. This is raw talent.
I don't want to stop talking. Of what we've been practicing, 1-5-1. Now, I want to point out that in a regular bayat scale, the two ajnas, or the jins that are present in makam bayat are bayat and nahwan. Now, just to clarify, so you don't get confused, the name of the scale, which is 8 notes, is bayat, and the name of the jins, which is, in this case, a tetrachord, 4 notes, is also bayat. So you can have a jins bayat in makam bayat, you can have a jins bayat in makam shuri. Is that clear? Right. Like I said, this is the pants shirt analogy, right? Pants and shirt. So you can swap, you can get dressed any way you want. So the pants and the shirt, the pants could be a bayat, the shirt could be a bayat, but the makam is the overall grouping of those 2 or 3, in some cases, ajnas. Okay?
Now, on the upper four, now, one thing I want to point out is this might look awkward to you for one reason. Why does this look awkward to you?
The G's on 2 scales.
Right, because you would think it would be 1 through 4 would be lower jins, and 5 through 8 would be upper jins, right? 4 and 4, simple, mathematical. Except music doesn't always follow mathematical law, and the G is actually shared by the lower jins and the upper jins. They call that conjunct. Disjunct is when you have the lower jins from 1 through 4 and the upper jins from 5 through 8, as in the case with Husseini, don't kill me, where you have a lower bayat from 1 through 4 and the upper bayat from 5 through 8. Now, the keynote in a, I'm going to, came prepared guys, we're high tech today. This is Makam Husseini. Now, there are different ways to break this up. Some say you would have the rast over here instead of the bayat over here. It's the same notes. The difference between the Husseini and the Nahwand is over here, instead of having, I'm sorry, the difference between a Husseini and bayat is that in bayat you have bayat and Nahwand. In Husseini you have bayat and bayat. So the difference, the only difference between Husseini and Nahwand is one note. Which note?
B flat.
The B. The B in a bayat is B flat. In a Husseini it's B half flat. So you have actually 2 quarter notes in a bayat. You have the E half flat and the B half flat, whereas in Husseini, and in bayat you only have the 1 E half flat, and this would be a normal B flat that you could be able to play on a piano. Now, in this part of the song, Kime Moshe, right? It is actually, it starts over here on the D. Kime Moshe. Now it goes down, it doesn't go down into the other one, into the Nahwand, which is the bayat scale. It actually breaks off and it changes into this B half flat, which makes it the bayat or the Husseini scale. So, can we play the,
Isn't it?
You hear the bayat?
Isn't it
Right.
more intuitive
Does that
to
mean
call
we're
this
just singing
Makam Bayat?
No, we're not singing it wrong.
Isn't it
Is that
more
You're actually
sure
singing it
that,
right, but you don't know what you're singing because we never really analyzed the song. So when we go down, Kime Moshe,
You're
that's the
singing it
bayat.
wrong. I don't hear
Husseini.
it. I don't hear people sing it.
That would be also the bayat. Now when we go back to
But you're Husseini, correct?
Husseini, correct. Then we go back on the way down.
So the song is Husseini.
Right, correct. Then we would go into back to bayat. We would say. Now one. Now when we say Mishkenotav, we go all the way up. Right?
It's the whole scale, right?
That is the whole scale. That right there is a gem. Take that, put it in your pocket, and never lose it. Mishkenotav. That tav is the entire scale from 1 through 8 with the bayat nahwan makes it makam bayat scale. You guys hopping?
Isn't it more intuitive to call Makam Bayat, Makam Hussein, Makam Bayat, meaning that you have a lower jins of Bayat and an upper jins of Nahwan? Shouldn't you call that Bayat? I mean, shouldn't you call that Husseini instead of use the Bayat for both? You understand what I'm saying?
I kind of get what you're saying, but let's talk about it after. I don't want to divert. But let's go now to the second stanza, and I want to point. I'm going to start pointing when we hit
Only the
those
Moshe
notes.
is the Hosseini. Only that one.
Only that one part. And that's what, you may not hear it. You may not hear it. You may not hear it when you're singing it. Now you'll hear it. But you might think to yourself, oh, that sounds really good. But you didn't know that he actually just changed to that E, to that B half flat, and that's what your ear is picking up on. Okay? Lo, lo,